Welcome back to Perimenopausal Hell. And we have one of the most hellish symptoms to talk about today, and that's the subject of atrophy. To put it simply, atrophy is the reason why old women always used to smell of pee. But of course, in this modern age, we're not embarrassed or ashamed to talk about this kind of thing. And so we're going to treat it, aren't we? Because up to 50% of us are going to suffer from this symptom, but it's really easy to treat and prevent. And it's really important to treat it because after a couple of years, some of the changes are not reversible. Now, atrophy is what happens to your vagina, vulva, and to a lesser extent, your bladder and urethra when your estrogen levels start to get low. And it can begin in perimenopause and obviously carries on getting worse into full menopause. So, just to look at some of the symptoms that this can cause, most women are aware that as they age, their vagina is going to get drier. But most of the problem is that it isn't just vaginal dryness, it's actually that your vulva is going to be less plump. Your vagina will change to some extent, so all the rugae, as in the folds that you have within the vagina, will flatten out, and the entrance to your vagina could become narrower. And generally, the tissue down there becomes more fragile and it's easier to hurt. This can lead to pain during intercourse, so sex can be painful either during or afterwards. But it can also affect your bladder and your urethra. By urethra, I mean your pee hole, where the wee comes out basically. So it can make you feel like you have a urine infection. And it can actually cause genuine urine infections. And it can cause the sensation of burning when you pee. It can cause sensations that lead to urgent urination and incontinence. So it can cause leaking. It can cause irritation, and it can actually cause blood to appear in your urine. This is something that doctors call hematuria. You shouldn't actually be able to see it in the toilet bowl, but under a microscope you could see it. And when doctors test the urine with a dipstick, they're usually able to see from the results that there is blood in the urine. So if we just take a quick look at the structure down there, when you're younger and you've got loads of estrogen, all of these tissues are all plump and healthy because of the influence of estrogen. So as you get older, there's less of the good stuff and everything down there starts to dry out. And most women think that just affects the vagina, but as you can see from this diagram, the front wall of the vagina is actually shared by the back of the bladder and the urethra. And so atrophy and the low estrogen levels don't just affect the vagina, they affect the urethra, they affect the vulva, and all of that area becomes less healthy, more fragile. And women develop problems there. And as I've said, it's not just sexual problems, it's problems with urination too. Now, the treatment for atrophy is actually really, really simple. You can use either a vaginal moisturizer like Replens, or you can use an estrogen cream or pessary. Now, Replens and similar moisturizers, there are plenty of other brands. There's one called YesVM, which is all organic ingredients, and there's one called Vagisan. There's all sorts of different ones. If you go into any pharmacy, they'll be happy to go through what products they have in there. With Replens, you'd use that twice a week, and it's best to use it on a night when you're not actually having sex because all the mixture of different fluids is not particularly great for your pH in your vagina. The other thing that I would suggest that you do is use it at night time. So, gravity has an influence on all these things. So if you're going to get up and walk around after you've used it, it's just going to drip out. Basically, you need it to be absorbed overnight so that the tissues in your vagina absorb all the moisture and become nice and plump and healthy. The other option that you've got is a low dose estrogen cream or pessary. So an estrogen cream, for example, might be estrus, but you can get generics which are cheaper, and you can get the tablets like Vagifem that go up your vagina. These are a prescription item, okay? You can't just go into a pharmacy and get these, but they're not quite HRT, okay? So you don't have to worry about side effects and risks. The estrogen in them is very, very low dose. And once again, I'd suggest that you use it at night and lie down so that it can soak in overnight. Now, there are lots of other treatments that boost your estrogen, like HRT or supplements, but they don't always help with atrophy. So even if you're on HRT, you might